thank you all for being here, the ones that are here and the ones that will be. And here's what we're talking. So this is one of my babies. I love this guy. This is Sculptra. So let's start. Now, many times we need fillers or we need something to enhance the volume, temples, under eyes, cheeks, jawline, nose. All of these are things that we want to enhance and grow because we're losing tissue. And we lose tissue over time, that's age related. But we also lose tissue because of our genetic blueprint. So you could be 25 and look 35 or 45, right? You could be 45 and look 25. So we talk about age a lot, but most of the time it's your genetic blueprint and your habits. So where does Sculptra come in with that? Sculptra creates volume, but it doesn't create volume everywhere. Some areas is actually the worst thing to do in the face. Some areas is the best. So let's start with the individuals that are just really hollowing here, or really hollowing in the temples, or kind of losing the shape, meaning the faces are getting so thin. Maybe your mom, your dad has a very thin, small face or very thin, long face. Sculptra is going to correct that. Today, it's not about age and how old you look. Today, it's about what you want versus what you don't want. What you want to present to others versus what you're happy in keeping. If you want to add volume, it's going to be Sculptra. What is Sculptra? Sculptra is PLLA. What does that mean? Poly-L lactic acid. It's just little tiny seeds, little tiny beads that are spread around in the face, and slowly your collagen grows around those little tiny seeds. Let's call them pellets. So the body grows collagen around these pellets, which increases the size, but it also helps to make a really wonderful surface texture. And so the skin looks better also with Sculptra. There's something called Sculptra face. And Sculptra face is when you get that glow and that soft and smoothness under the skin. Now, can men do Sculptra? 100%. If you're a human being, you can do Sculptra. And therefore, we can create volume in the temples, we can create volume in the lower cheeks. What we cannot use Sculptra for is to outline. Now remember, this is all art. It has to do with talent and the ability to create art. And I'm creating art, we are creating art as injectors using our palettes. What is our palette? What is our canvas? Our canvas is the face. Our palette is a mixture of modalities that we're using. So your face is my canvas, and I have to outline your face. I also have to fill. Two different things. If you want to outline, then you're using fillers. Fillers are totally different to Sculptra, and they work totally different. So fillers are going to outline. Sculptra is going to give you volume. Why doesn't Sculptra outline? Because it travels, it moves, it disperses, and it grows. So if you're putting Sculptra to create a high cheek line or a low jawline, I am sorry, it's not going to work. You can have more of a full jawline and a full cheek line, and that's not necessarily appealing or looks good. So Sculptra's only there to create volume, whether it's the body or the face. How does it stimulate collagen? Again, it's like fertilizer beads or pellets. You sprinkle it in the tissue, and the tissue grows around these fertilizing beads. That is Sculptra. And there's so much of these little pellets in one vial that really one vial is enough for the entire face. Sculptra has to be mixed, so it comes in a powder form. Once it's mixed, you dilute it and you put it in the areas that you want to grow. You can dilute it very weak, or you can make it very strong depending on where you want to place and what type of outcome you're looking for. Is Sculptra safe? Sculptra is very safe. Sculptra was introduced in the 2000s ready for lipodystrophy or atrophy within the face. And what it did was really create a nice contour for individuals that lost their cheeks. Then we said, wow, if it can do that, then it can probably do the same thing for the body. And that's where the Sculptra butt comes in. Let's stick on the face for a few more seconds though. So volume loss is the Y. If you have volume loss, then it's going to be Sculptra. If you lose your lateral width, a lot of men lose this. And if you're losing your lateral width, then you want to rejuvenate that and grow that with Sculptra. If you're female and you've lost that, same scenario, you want to grow. For women, it's mostly the temples. Many women get that hollowness in the temples where you can see the outline of the bone on the orbital rim. Once that starts to occur and this becomes more prominent, it means that you're losing that temple fat. If you're losing the temple fat, Sculptra, you need Sculptra to regain that volume. Lower cheek hollows, do not remove fat from the lower cheek. If anything, you can contour above and below to create a nice line, but do not remove the fat in the lower cheeks, but you can enhance it with Sculptra. Now, if you have your disappearing jawline, yes, Sculptra can give you volume, but remember, if you want a sharp outline, that's going to be filler. Now let's move further down into, can Sculptra go everywhere? No, Sculptra cannot go around circular muscles, whether it's the eyes or the mouth. Why is that? Because the movement of these muscles that are very strong and move constantly with smiling or blinking or laughing will push the pellets outward, creating nodules. 2 to 3 sessions for the best outcomes. I find really, honestly, 3 sessions works great. Now, where are the other areas that we can do Sculptra? Let's talk about Sculptra body, which is the butt and the hip dip. So this is a very, very common topic that everyone smiles when I start talking about this. Sculptra butt is wonderful. These are all the high points. I'll get to some of the low points soon. But the high point is Sculptra butt is wonderful. Hip dips. Now hip dips has that curve, that curvature on the side of the butt that goes in. I think it looks nice. Some people don't like it, but if you want a curve, then you have to incorporate something that's going to allow the fatty tissue there to grow. If you've been working out really, really hard, you're working out, you want to grow your butt, you want a nice butt like everyone you see on television, you just want to have a nice butt, you're working out and you still have your hip dips, here's the thing. What does muscles do when you work them out so strong? What does muscles do when you put them under a lot of weight and you work out your muscles? They get lean, which means you're losing some of your butt. So the harder you work out on your glutes, the leaner the muscle becomes. That doesn't mean you cannot get a little curve. You can, but you're not going to get lateral width. Your lateral width comes from Sculptra or implants. Again, your lateral width comes from Sculptra or implants. If you have hip dips, you cannot reverse that with working out. Hip dips are there because you're losing the fat on the lateral butt or the side of the butt. And that's what a hip dip is. So hip dips can be reversed with Sculptra. How many sessions do we need? Well, you may need 2 to 3 sessions, or you may just have a plan where you do several sessions within 1 year. How many valves do you need? Typically, to start, you use the most valves. So to start, I would use something like maybe 3 to 4 valves per butt cheek or per hip dip. That will extend and that will grow. You would definitely love the shape. The reason why I like Sculptra in the butt is because I can shape the type of butt you're looking for, as opposed to an implant that just gives you a big butt. Not everyone wants a big butt. There's nothing good or bad about it. But if you want more of a tighter shape and control the shape, then it's going to be something like Sculptra biostimulators. Again, with the hip dips, you can still work out, because when you're working out, you cannot burn the Sculptra, which means you can get a leaner, stronger, tighter butt. However, you can maintain the side volume because Sculptra is allowing the tissue to grow and fill in. One of the downsides about Sculptra is that it's not instantaneous. You're gonna have to wait 2 to 3 to sometimes 4 months for all of that to grow. But in the meantime, guess what? You're working on other areas as well. So this is more of a journey rather than a quick fix. And we know that the journey sometimes always leads to the best result as opposed to the instant quick fix.